Hi guys, it's Sunshine and I'm back with another video. Yes, my chair is empty as you see. My partner in crime and Dee is missing. Dee, if you're watching this, I miss you terribly bad. But I know soon Dee will be here with us and we'll get to bring you a video. I miss your energy, I miss your soul, I just miss you all the way around the board. You just bring a lot of laughter and love into my life. So as you know, the last video I put out for you guys was about relationships, healthy and unhealthy, right? So today I thought I would talk about something else that was very personal to my life. Excuse me, I'm having a little camera problem. I want to also talk to you about dysfunctional families. And if you've been following me and you've been watching my page and you know me, then you know that I grew up in a very dysfunctional home and I've had some trauma from my childhood from that, correct? So I want to talk to you about the dynamics of a dysfunctional family and the roles that we play in a dysfunctional family. And yes, when I go through these, you may say, dang, I identify with this one, but I also identify with this one, or maybe I identify more with this one. But it's okay because sometimes you can identify with more than one role, and at some point, you may have played different roles in the family unit. Especially like if you have siblings and one of the siblings leave the household, you may take on that sibling's role if you grew up with more than one sibling. So to start off with a quote, it is, we repeat what we don't repair. So to kind of piggyback off of that quote, you learn as a child, learn behavior, right? So when you grow up seeing that dysfunctional behavior from your parents, we compute that to memory. We grow up, we get off on our own, and we have our own lives, our own families, and here we are in this toxic environment, and we have made our own dysfunctional family with our own lives, and we're basically just repeating what we've learned in our own household, which is where a lot of people would, biblical term would be for bringing generational curses fall down through generation, right? There is a way to stop that. It can end with you. Yes, you. And you can do a few steps to change that if you want to. So today I'm going to give you some tools and some knowledge. It's up to you to take it or leave it. I always want to say seek professional help. I am not a therapist. I am in no way trying to tell you what to do. But if you're stubborn and you don't want to go to therapy, I'm giving you some book knowledge along with some of my own knowledge, and maybe it'll help you. And yes, I do see a therapist. If you haven't watched any of my shows and this is your first time tuning in, I see a therapist. I highly recommend it. It's changed my life for the better. So the first role I want to talk about in a dysfunctional family is called a caretaker. I still struggle with caretaking. Anybody else know what a caretaker is? Well, I'm going to go ahead and read you the definition of a caretaker, and if you find yourself identifying with it, then that's what you are. Caretaker. They take care of the children in place of the parents. Despite the fact that they are children themselves, they are forced to grow quickly because of unhealthy environment. They are emotionally mature for their age and have learned to act like an adult in order to survive. The other children gravitate to the caretaker for safety. The caretaker feels responsible for the children and quite often take the blame for the situation where younger children might be punished. So I'll put a pin right there and I'll just say this. Growing up, if you had a sibling and both of y'all are about to get your asses beat, per se, and you jumped in and saved your younger one from getting whipped, that was what you did. When you grow up and become adults yourself, you find it very difficult to stop looking after other people. You want to continue caretaking. So you find yourself in relationships where you're looking after somebody. You're always going to look for validation with other people because you didn't get that as a child. This means that you're constantly looking for other people's approval because you also lacked that as a child. That is where the people pleasing, I talked about that in my last video, that is where people pleasing comes in. Caretakers, as we are, we lost our own childhood looking after others and having to grow up so fast. So therefore we lack the ability to let go and have fun in childlike ways and feel like that we have to be the more responsible adult. So therefore, when we're young and we have to be responsible as we grow older and we have our own kids, at some point, how many people out there just was like, okay, screw it, I just want to live my own life and I don't want to be responsible for nobody or nothing, and had that F it attitude and went out here and just went balls to the wall. Yep, that was me. Because I felt like I never got to just be a child or live life on my terms or experience what I wanted to experience because I was always having to do for other people. Unfortunately, that happens. But guess what? If that is you and you're watching this video, it's never too late to change. Every single day is what? First day of the rest of your life. So you can stop it, start over, and try again. It's the beautiful thing about life. So the next row is kind of like an important row. It's called the hero row. The hero. This person pretends that everything is fine. Normal in the family. They want to protect the good image to the outside world because they are lying to the outside world. They never are allowed to get close to people or people to get close to them, because this will affect their personal relationships, because people might see the real them or go home and see that their perfect little life that they put on display is not so perfect, right? How many people know people like this? Or was one of those people? Yeah. This affects their personal relationships. Heroes are usually the oldest in the family, so they wear a mask to the world and hide who they truly are. So this is how people become fake. Yeah, I say fake because you take on a different persona, right? So you become one person to these people, but behind closed doors, you're a total different person, right? So you never want to mix those two worlds together, or you never want no one to know who you are behind this door, right? Because if those two worlds collide, then who are you? You're a fraud, you're a fake, you're a phony, right? Well, narcissists usually do this. Subconsciously, they are ashamed of what they really are and who they really are and where they came from. They've adopted this grandiose display of events, and they want to take the attention away from the horrible reality that they're from. Well, this can also lead to denial in others in areas in which the hero cannot accept. So I'm sure that if anyone watches enough ID like I do, or 2020 shows, a lot of those people out there that kill people are what? Narcissistic people, right? Or like, what was it, Mr. John, who came up and wanted to be with all those women. He was a very narcissistic man. Unfortunately, I know several guys who's very narcissistic. Dated a few. How many of y'all have done that? Yeah. So they must have suffered from the hero complex. As I was really getting into the dysfunctional roles of a family and learning this, boy, oh boy, oh boy. I love you, Dad. I have to speak about you a little bit. My dad suffered with the hero complex. He was very narcissistic at times in his life, and definitely growing up and watching after him, because, you know, a dad is the first girl that a father loves, right? Just like a mother is the first girl that a son loves. So we set the tone and precedence for what our sons want, and fathers do for what a daughter wants. So therefore, my horrible choice in men, I will say, come from my father. So that was unfortunate. The third one in a dysfunctional family is the scapegoat. This is the opposite of the hero. The scapegoat does not go along with the hero at all and pretend that everything is okay. They actually do the exact opposite. These children grow up and actually leave home as soon as they can. They are usually the middle child. The scapegoats have trouble with other authority figures. They might associate themselves with the rebellious group. Like if you was in high school, you might find them outside on the stoner's block, smoking weed, ditching class, screaming at the police, you know, those kind of kids. They may alter their bodies in order to get a shock in society, like piercings, tattoos, teen pregnancies, maybe something worse, such as like cutting sometimes even attempt suicide. It happens. It's very unfortunate, but it does happen. They are not, well, one, because they're not good with their emotional problems. But yet, most of these kids are brilliant. Yes, brilliant. When it comes to school, most of these kids are like, you're gifted and talented. These kids are like, can draw. Everything that I've read statistic-wise, these kids have, most of them have outstanding IQs. Always excel at school, but most of them don't get to apply themselves because their homes lives are so bad that they just are trying to do anything that they can to escape. The last, let's see, yeah, fourth one, the clown. Clowns. How many of us know the class clown? Yeah, me too. The clown uses humor to break up their increasingly volatile situation at home. As adults, they retain the method as they learned it. It helps them shift attention from what's going on. They are not good with responsibility. Making someone laugh allows them to avoid serious tasks or duties so that they won't be expected to contribute. They usually use humor to hide depressive thoughts. They usually suffer from suicide thoughts. A few will act upon them. I didn't really understand this one at first until I started digging into my background and like my family dynamic. And my dad, who is an only child from his mother, had a brother. And everything that I have learned about my Uncle Glenn, he was a clown. They said he was funny, that he was like the good brother. He was very musically inclined. I think he always tried to make everybody happy. And he committed suicide when I was really young. So as I was learning about this dysfunctional role in families, I think that my Uncle Glenn would have fit into that role of the clown. And unfortunately, suicide was something that he attempted and it took his life. So I say that I don't take that lightly, and that if that's something that you struggle with, I say that you seek help, you talk to somebody, because it is a very selfish act and it destroys people's lives, not just your own. I know that you're in pain and that you're hurting and that you feel like in that moment right now is how you feel, but you have to think of all the lives that you are hurting, that you're leaving behind. Because I've heard a lot of stories about him. I don't remember him. I would have loved to get to know him. I know I watched my grandmother suffer horribly because she lost her son. I watched my dad go down a horrible path because he lost his brother and he found his brother. I just seen it tear my family apart. So I will say that suicide is not the answer. It may feel like it, but it's just a temporary fix to a temporary problem that can be fixed. So reach out for help. There's always people out there that are willing to talk and help you through it. Number 5, the lost child. The lost child. I have a sibling who is the lost child. I love you, but you really need to get it together. This sibling is the one you don't notice. They fade into the background for safety. The lost child is usually the loner child. They never want to rock the boat. They don't cause a fuss. They never rebel. Instead, they blend in with the wallpaper and hope that they are forgot about. They won't have an opinion of their own. They won't back one parent or the other. You can't really rely on them for help. And they just want to have a quiet life with no drama. As an adult, the lost child will have problems when they start having relationships. Problems that occur won't be acknowledged by the lost child. They think that by simply ignoring them, all their problems will just go away. The lost child will spend a lot of time on their own. They'll live alone. They'll prefer solitary. For example, they'll enjoy like surfing the internet, playing video games, other activities where they don't have to basically go out of their house or interact with too many people. They have somewhat love-hate relationships with most of their family members. It's kind of sad. Number 6. This is the best one. This is my favorite one. This used to be me. The manipulator. Takes their experience of their hostile environment and uses it to their advantage. If you knew me in my past, I was literally the best manipulator you ever met. I should have won a fucking award for it. I was great at it. They capitalize on family situations and play family members against each other. These individuals will quickly become adaptive in recognizing what the actual problem and that the parent suffers from. They'll understand which one is the enabler and which one is codependent. As in my case, my mother was super codependent to the point she was enmeshed with my father. She did not know how to live without him. Their divorce almost crumbled her. And I used that to my advantage when I was young. And it was how I kind of just got my way all the time. Manipulators exercise this knowledge to control and influence family members. They do it convertively, not directly. They never want to get caught. Gradually, they learn what triggers the parents and their siblings, and they will take shots at them all. There is a possibility that the manipulator will grow into a sociopath or a psychopath, and they will possess antisocial tendencies. No, I'm not a sociopath or a psychopath. I did get help. I am reformed. I'm not going to sit here and say that sometimes, you know, you still have those crazy thoughts, but you have to like let them go as quick as they come. You can get help for your issues. But everybody in this life has manipulated at some point. And if you say you don't, you know you're lying. There is a possibility that manipulators will grow up and can grow out of it and have a decent life. Just depends on how much work you're willing to put in. Some manipulators will turn into bullies, those who harass people and get a kick out of it. They are unable to form healthy relationships, and if they are in one, they will be controlling with a partner who has low self-esteem. They'll never want to be with anyone who they can't control or take advantage of. Always want to like have the upper hand on them. So, now that we've talked about those, you can quietly know which ones you identified with or which ones you didn't. I want to talk to you about how to change that behavior, right? And I want to say this. Boys who witness domestic violence in their own homes are 3 times more likely to become beaters. And girls who witness their mothers getting beat on are 3 times more likely to allow a man to beat on them. That's statistically speaking. That's just not my own personal opinion. Children of alcoholics. We are much more likely to participate in the cycle of alcoholism. We have a 4-fold increase of becoming an alcoholic, statistically speaking. Parents of addicts, children of addicts, I am speaking to you. If you are a kid and you're watching this show, do not do drugs, okay? Because let me tell you why. Billy Joe and Sally Sue and you could be out and y'all could be getting ready to smoke you a big blunt or snort you a line of cocaine. Yes, I'm saying that on here. And guess what? Sally Sue and Billy Bob might be able to walk away from it and never touch it again. But you, because both of your parents are addicts, you're already predisposed. You may not. You may do it and that's it for you. You're on a downhill slide straight for addiction. Not going to pass go and not collect $200, sweetheart. Okay? So if you don't want to be an addict and you don't want to wake up 20 years from now strung out on drugs, teeth falling out, body fucked up, in jail with a bunch of charges, not going nowhere in this life, just say no. And I'm not joking. I'm being serious. Children who are raised in abusive homes learn that violence is an effective way to resolve conflicts and problems. I want to say that's very true. Because I told you in my last video that in some psychotic way, we take pleasure and pain when we have sex, make-up sex, after we get the shit beat out of us, right? Or we get into a fight, right? So when we do that, that's very toxic behavior, right? And when we see that in homes and the parents stay together, and parents, I'm talking to the ones who, and I know a lot of my friends, yes, I'm talking to you, who tell me I'm just staying together for the kids. Let me tell you, my parents did that shit too, and it almost destroyed us kids. Watching parents who are unhappy stay together in a marriage is not healthy for the children. You are basically telling your daughter or your son to stay somewhere that they are unhappy. Divorce. It's okay. It's not a sin to divorce. Watching that porno show that you're watching, or talking to that girl you ain't got no business talking to, is no better or bigger sin than you going out here and divorcing your wife because you're unhappy, or your husband because you're unhappy. And you're making those kids miserable and teaching them that it's okay to be miserable in a cycle that they don't want to be in. So break it. You should be happy. Everybody deserves to be happy. Stop doing it for your children. Do it for you. How to change. First step is to become aware, right? Because if you're not aware of it, can't change what you don't know, right? Become aware of your family's destructive relationship patterns. You can't teach what you don't know. So you got to seek out individuals who are healthy and stable, and you can ask them questions. Or you can also go seek professional help. It's okay, because I had to too. Now, I'm going to put a pin there and just say this. I have family members who still live their lives the way that they want to live their lives. I still love them the same. I respect their decisions. I have boundaries with them. I just don't go around them as often. And we have a relationship, but it's not the relationship that I wish we had, but it's the relationship we can only have. Does that make sense? Just because I live a different life these days than they do. Now, I have no ill will towards no one, but I just can't participate in the things that they do. Now, I do not get down with domestic violence. I do not support domestic violence. I just don't agree with that at all. Now, I have been in abusive relationships. I have been the abuser, but I've also learned better, and to learn better is to do better. And I don't support that in any way. And if that is what you're into right now, I say that you get some help and you get out of that quick, fast, and in a hurry, because you deserve better. Even if you're a man and you're watching the show, women abuse too, because I used to abuse. I know. Don't take it. Walk away. Find someone better. And if y'all are both toxic and you love each other and you really want to get help, there's people out there that can help you get better. I'm not going to say you can't change, because I was a fighter. I know all about it, and you can change. So there is hope. But if you love each other and it's worth sticking it out, get some help. Yeah, but if you know that your partner's not going to, don't stay in it, honey, because you're beautiful and you're just messing yourself up and wasting years that you don't have to waste, because time is of the essence, right? So, number 2. We got to take ownership of our actions, our attitudes, beliefs, and emotions. We have to admit, it's my problem and I need help. We cannot look at our partner and say, oh my God, he made me do it. No, I did it. I owned it. This is me. This is what I did. Even if he slapped the shit out of you, that didn't give you the right to slap the shit out of him back, right? Right. No matter what it is, you have to own your own behavior. You can't just physically attack someone or verbally attack someone. That's not right. So we have to own our own stuff. And it starts with accepting responsibility of your actions, your attitudes, and your beliefs. I like to think of it this way. A, B, and C. Your actions, your beliefs, which lead to your consequences. Because if I walk up and I smack you, that'd be the action. The belief behind that would be, you're probably going to smack me back. And then the consequence behind that is, well, if the neighbors see it, they're going to call the cops, and we're probably going to go to jail. Or worse, one of us could get really hurt, right? Or we could do it this way. The action is, I walk up to you and hit you. B, which is the belief, you are the bigger person and walk away. And C, the consequences is I'm the dumb one that's sitting there looking stupid because you were smart. It's all about the way we think. And that scenario I just gave you is called a rational self-analysis. If you don't know what that is like a good way to train your brain in a different way to process how you think. So 9 times out of 10, if we just take 10 seconds to think about the way we're going to react to something, we will make a better choice. 10 seconds. Think about that. If you took 10 seconds to just think before you react, most people wouldn't be in the situations that they're in today. 3, purposely observe. Compare and contrast other family interactions with how your family handles similar situations. So I know for me, as I started getting older and going outside and hanging out with other friends, I was like, wow, this is how the other half live. So like, what's wrong with my family? They don't act that way. They do this. They don't do that. So it made me start thinking, you know, was there something wrong with us? Was we weird? And then that's when all that weird shit started, you know, like what happens in this house stays in this house. We don't talk about it to outside people. And then, you know, that's where that whole family dynamic of where sick is our secrets come in. And then you begin to have to hold that stuff because you can't go outside the home and talk about it. And it just breeds for a whole lot of other stuff. Crazy in the head stuff, right? Number 4. If therapy isn't for you, it's okay. You can do Google searches on what I've talked about with you today. Everything is on Google or YouTube. So if you don't want to get professional help, you can actually Google professional stuff on Google, and it will tell you everything that I'm telling you right now. Ask yourself the following things, like, what did you learn as a child? What is a healthy friendship? Did you even learn to have a healthy friendship as a child? What is an accurate way for you to see me? And how do you see yourself? Because the only way that you should see yourself is right-sized, right? You shouldn't see yourself too small. You shouldn't see yourself too big, because then that means your ego's in the way. You should see yourself right-sized. And what is your belief system? I think that's a good one, to sit down and write down what it is that you believe, what is your core values, because that's going to tell you a lot about you as a person. And if you're a parent or you're going to become a parent, I think those are important because those are the things that you're going to pass down to your child. 5, evaluate your present relationships. Are they going smoothly and are they benefiting both parties? If you answer no to either one of those questions, I need you to reevaluate that. Do you know what healthy boundaries are? And if so, do you keep them? I'll be the first to sit here and admit, yes, I know what healthy boundaries are, but I'm not perfect, and no, I don't keep them always. I try as I may, but I don't. Because sometimes, like I said, I don't always practice what I preach. Sometimes it's easier said than done. I'm human. I still lose it sometimes. But I am not above going back, apologizing, and fixing anything that I may have broken. But I also learned I don't speak out of anger. I may have to take a time out and get up and walk away from you and come back. But that's okay too. And number 6, I don't want to offend anybody or anybody's religion. So you can, a good one I'm going to say is to read Proverbs. And if you're not into the Bible and you're into something else, that's fine. You can read positive affirmations will help. But Proverbs actually helps identify many healthy and unhealthy ways of living and relating, actually. Even if you're really not a Bible goer and you just open Proverbs, there's a lot of positive affirmations in there. And it's not just like biblical terms or talking about God in there, for those of you who have never cracked the Bible open. And that's okay if you haven't. No judgment on my part, I promise. All I'm saying is Proverbs has got some good affirmations. Ask your higher power to open your eyes and your mind to what true and healthy living looks like and what changes need to be made for you. And I promise you, if you sit down in a room and you can meditate on that and you can write that down on a piece of paper and put that into the universe, you will get a deep understanding of what that really means. And if you really want that and you are trying for that, you will get that back. And it'll be amazing at what you get back. And when the universe shows you what you need to let go of, baby, you'll have to let it go. But when you let it go, the great things that will come into your life is going to be amazing. It's going to blow your mind. 7, you're going to practice with yourself and others. Yes, I said practice with yourself. That goes all the way back to the very beginning when I was telling you all positive self-talk. Like, talking to yourself in a positive way is so important. You have to love and nurture yourself, because if you don't love and nurture yourself, how are you properly going to love and nurture somebody else? I think a lot of the problem with the world today in relationship-wise is because people don't see us and love us properly. And that is a lot because we don't see and love ourselves properly. It took me years to love and see myself properly. And that's okay. Rome wasn't built in a day. But I'm learning. I'm still learning. So, you have to get up every morning as you're brushing your teeth. You tell yourself, look at them beautiful teeth, girl. You so pretty. You have to tell yourself that because, hey, somebody's not going to tell you that. You can tell yourself that and it's okay. It doesn't mean you're conceited. It just means that you're okay with you. You love you. And that is okay today. Because you don't need validation from other people. You don't need 100 likes on Facebook to know that you're a pretty girl. You don't need 100 comments to know that you're very pretty. I can look in the mirror every day with no makeup on, fresh out of my bed, and know that I'm pretty and that I'm okay with me. Because guess what? I love me today. Years ago, I didn't like who I was. I was a pretty girl on the outside with some ugly stuff on the inside. But I had to clean all that shit up. When you clean up the inside, then the outside starts looking pretty. Because you can take a cup and you can wash the outside and make it clean, clean, clean. But if you ain't washing the inside, guess what? It's ugly, molded, got some dirt in it. It's untelling what's going on the inside, right? So you got to clean that shit up from the inside out, not the outside in. 7. I want to repeat 7 because you got to practice. Practice makes perfect. Someone told me, and I read this in books too, 30 days makes a habit. 30 days also unbreaks a habit. So if you spend 30 days, 30 calendar days, telling yourself wonderful things about yourself every day, changing your attitude, changing the way that your brain processes how you feel about yourself, your self-esteem will start changing. Your self-worth will start changing. The way you see yourself will begin to change. Those dysfunctional patterns that you grew up having from a child, you will begin to see things differently and know, I am worth it. I'm better than this. I deserve better than this. How many people are happy right now in this moment? You can truly say you're happy. I'm gonna wait for it. Okay. Well, I'm gonna tell you this. For years, I didn't know what true happiness was. I wasn't happy. I thought money made me happy. I thought men made me happy. My kid came along. I thought my kid would make me happy. I thought my dog made me happy. No. You know what made Sunshine happy? Loving myself, learning myself, being okay in my skin, being able to sit down with me by myself alone makes me happy. Being able to have peace makes me happy. And knowing that I deserve happiness. You have to know that you deserve it too. Because wanting it and knowing that you can is two different things. And we all deserve to be happy. Just like we all deserve to be loved. Not just loved, loved properly. Because love is patient, love is kind, it's not hurtful. And I'll say, you can say love is a feeling, but I don't want nobody to tell me that they love me. I see it in the way that you treat me and how that you act towards me and that every little things that you do towards me every day. Because if you're constantly talking down to me or treating me unkind or only calling me when you need something, what does that say? I'm just here for whenever you need me. It doesn't mean you love me. Those people come and go. They're a dime a dozen. Bye. So just remember the difference. You are not condemned to repeat what your parents done. We are better than they are, right? Because when we have children, I don't know how many of y'all have children, but I have children. I know that I always said I want my children to be better than me. I know I wanted to be better than my parents, but I ended up repeating that cycle. I mean, today I feel like I've come a long way and I'm better than what I came from, for sure. I'm not saying that I haven't forgot where I came from, but I'm better than the environment that I came from today. But I want better for my children. I didn't want them to have to struggle like I struggled. I didn't want them to have to go through what I went through. I never want them to know about addiction. I never wanted them to know about unhealthy relationships. I never want to see my daughter have get a hands put on her. I don't want my son to put his hands on a woman, and I don't want my son to have his hands put on by a woman either. And just i.e. insert here, if you're thinking about that, he has a mother and a sister. Okay, don't do it. But just know that we're all worthy of the right kind of love, and we don't have to be like our parents. You can break the cycle. Even if you're in a vicious cycle, you can get out of it. I just want you to know that I am proof of that. If you follow me, you know me, you've read any of the things that I've wrote about, or you follow me on my page, or you've watched these videos, you know that it works if you work it. So don't give up. And it only takes you to change your whole family dynamic, right? Because it takes one spark to light up a tunnel. So that one spark can change the family. If it's dark, you can be the light. Yeah, I know it may seem like a tall order and a heavy burden to carry, but if you really want to make it work, you can do it. Be that light for somebody who needs it. So with that, I want to say peace and love. I hope everybody has a great weekend. Be safe. I love you. D, I can't wait till you're here. We can make another video. Press the like button, subscribe. Thank you for following and liking my page.